Let me just check if I've got any messages from tech support. I haven't got it, but you guys can hear me okay, right?
We can hear you, but I don't think that the viewers can hear at all.
Okay.
I don't think we can hear our tech support. Tech support, are you there?
Right, let me just message everyone. We are waiting.
You can hear now, they said.
Oh, perfect. Right, good. All good. Right, everyone can hear. So I'll start again. Welcome to our talk show, This Is Us. I'm G, your host for today. Our lovely D is away this week, so I'm trying to take her place. It will never happen, but we're here. Today on the panel, we've got Esther, we've got Max, and as you all know, Jude is here as well. And today we've decided to add our 2 cents to the aftermath of the Euro 2020 final between England and Italy, I think. I was watching a Beyonce concert from 2009, so I don't know what happened. I know something about penalties or something, but I didn't watch it. And I also haven't got into any of the racist abuse that happened afterwards, but I did personally think it was going to happen once I realized it was 3 Black men that missed or their penalties were saved or something. And so that's what we're going to discuss today. And I'm going to put my first question to Esther. Sorry, I'll put it to Max actually, which is, are we really welcome? Do we really feel at home here? I'm talking about us, the Black race.
Yeah, sure. So I think for me personally, it depends on when you say home, it has to be a definition of home. You know, you can have a house is not necessarily home. The place the fact you're in a place, you know, like where I am now, I'm in a county, you know, is that my home? Maybe not, maybe. So it just depends on how you see yourself fit in that place. Do you fit into that economy? Do you fit into that sort of, you know, house? You know, so if we look at United Kingdom or England, after there's a house, you know, we being here, do we really feel at home? Do I walk down the street and, you know, get stereotypical comments? Do I say certain words and say, oh yeah, it's an African man, you know? So it's one of those things where, you know, if we can define what home means, that would help us answer, you know, because I think it's relative, it's personal, you know.
So would you say personally, this is home for you? Would you, I mean, I guess it depends on how long you've been in the country as well. Would you say this is home for you?
So yes, I mean, I grew up here. I came in when I was quite young, you know, so it's not home for me still, regardless. Even if I've been here from age 0, you know, it's not going to be home for me because of things I'm saying. I don't feel free, you know, just walking on the street as a, you know, ethnic minority, you know. So so for me personally, I would say I don't feel like I'm at home.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll put the same question to you, Esther. What do you think? Do you feel home? Do you feel welcome?
This is home for me because I don't see myself living anywhere else. So for me, this is home. Do I feel welcome? It depends on the scenario. I mean, I grew up in South London. I felt like home there in that sense because maybe I had more people of my color around me, maybe. Yeah. My community was around me. So that was home to me in that sense. Where I live now, there's majority, we're more of a minority in this area.
Okay.
Do I feel like it's home? It depends on the situation. I mean, I've never felt uncomfortable where I am. I'm aware that I'm a minority in the area I live in. It's very obvious. But do I feel uncomfortable? Not really. But there's been times and places I've been to that I do feel uncomfortable. But home,
oh, like
yes,
where?
I would say it's
where,
home.
What can you give us an example?
For example, maybe during lockdown, we're walking down the seafront, or you know, or people look at you in a certain way. They walk across the road. You get those, but we're so used to those sort of things now. It's kind of comical. You laugh at that. You just laugh. You just think it's funny.
I don't think I'd notice it.
I notice it because I notice it because it's obvious. It's very, very obvious. Because you see,
and I guess when you're coming from
normally
South London,
towards you,
Yeah, and then they cross for no
Yeah.
reason.
It's
Yeah.
very obvious. Yeah. So, but that's not everybody. I'm not saying it's an everyday occurrence, but it does happen. So, but I do consider this place home. I wouldn't see myself living anywhere else. So for me, in that sense, it's home. Do I feel welcomed? Again, it depends on the scenario and where you live and all that sort of stuff. But generally, I feel it's home for me personally.
Okay, and Jude, your thoughts?
I think quite agree with Esther. It's my home, but I've lived here longer than, I think, not longer than I lived in Nigeria, but I know this part of the world more than I knew Nigeria. So this is home. And when we talk about being welcome somewhere, I don't think anyone will welcome me anywhere anyway. So, but I grew up first 25 years in Nigeria. Was I welcome there? No, we had our own strife. In England, man, it's stark reality is thrown on our faces every day. And it's even worse when my wife is foreigner as well, according to their definition. So I find myself telling my children all the time, we're blessed, so to speak, because you can pick Africa, you can pick your mom's country, and you've got England as well. So you've got three options. So about being welcomed there, I don't think anyone welcomes anyone anywhere. So it's always been the situation with so-called minority people, or those people who look different,
Yeah, I think you're right. I always have this thing where, and I think I've said it every year I've been in this country, that home is when the queen decides that, oh yeah, everybody pack your bags and start going, leave England for me. In my mind, that's where home is, like your true home. When it's like, okay, doesn't matter if you've got a British passport, doesn't matter if you've got this, that, the other, doesn't matter if you're married to some lord or you are a lord. When somebody says, oh yeah, everybody pack up and go, wherever that place we're going to me, that's home. So our next question is, why do people of foreign heritage never feel like this is home? I think some of you have already kind of answered that, but do you think, and this is kind of like going out to a wider, not an audience, but wider demographic, like not just Black people, just people of foreign heritage, why do they often feel like this is not home for them?
I think, for example, of the football match and the scenario there, that just explains why we don't feel at home. Because when everything is going good, we're all accepted, we're praised,
we're British,
you know. But when something happens, all of a sudden, we're not British. We're this heritage or that heritage. You know, everything changed. So that for me, that's the reason why we never feel comfortable to say this is home, because of those sort of scenarios that happen. You know, so if that didn't happen, then we can say, okay, we do feel accepted, we do feel welcomed, we do feel one of the community, one of the you know. But when things like that happen, it makes it very clear that we are not home.
Yeah, and I
we're
do.
Not
I think the media has a lot to do with it a lot of times because of how they report stories. Jude, what do you think about that in terms of the media kind of propagating and kind of adding fuel to, you know, this thing of, oh, this person, because they've done something bad or bad in society's eyes, they're suddenly not British anymore. They kind of refer to them from where they're originally from, if you know what I mean.
It's about wordplay. But before I answer that, just touch on what you asked, what Esther said just now. Again, if you're not invested in where you live, it will never feel like home for you as well. I'm not invested in Nigeria. I don't have a penny worth in Nigeria, so I don't call that home. But I'm invested in this country. This is where I went to university. This is where I'm doing my master's. This is where I have a home, a mortgage, or wherever they call it. This is where I had my kids. Their education is there, so I'm invested. So I want to protect my home, so to speak. But if you're not invested, you will then feel like it's not home, especially when you're doing investments on the side of the world. But with regards to the media, I don't. The media, you are an chartered accountant, so you have your own ethics of your own profession. The media, although it's not their ethics, but this is how they do their thing. It's been part of their training, how to report news, how to make black look white, green look yellow, red look purple. They will, if you speak to them, they will twist your words to you. They know how to use English language properly, even more than the Queen. They will twist your words. So they train them a lot. Yeah, you're right to have pointed out the media. The media actually started the build up, not just today, not just before, but with regards to this football game, they started the build up because when England started picking up points, they started to splash Kane's picture all over the dailies, Kane's and other white players. When it was Raheem Sterling and the young boy, something Calvert-Lewis, who were like really carrying these people.
Exactly.
My kid,
Exactly.
my children are very young. They watched it. They religiously watched this one, and they were singing the praises of people like Calvert-Lewin, Sancho, and Raheem. That's to tell you, and they don't support Raheem in his football club in Man City, but that's to tell you they saw actually who was playing the ball, and they never liked what Kane was doing. They believed he was just lucky at some point, but his face was splashed all over. So the build-up was there already from the media that, okay, this is the faces we like to show. So the tension was already popped up. So the media is absolutely to blame. But again, it's their profession. When you say white, they come out and say black. It's their job. It's how they make their money.
Yeah. And I think also part of their job is to sensationalize whatever the news is, to add pepper and extra salt and Maggi and everything to just make it bigger than what it is. It's kind of like playing on the same sort of question I just asked. But Max, why do you think race or heritage comes into discussion when there's failure? You know what we said about if someone's doing well, like Anthony Joshua, when he's doing really well, he's British, but when he wasn't doing very well, he's Nigerian, even though the man was born and raised here. So Max, what do you think? Why do you think that only comes into discussion when there's failure involved or something negative?
Yeah, sure. I'll probably use a question to answer the question. Have we ever seen on this panel an armed robber and a parent comes out with a chest? Yes, I'm the father of that armed robber. You never see that happen, you know, so that's what's happening right here. So, you know, so in terms of failure, for example, you know, I don't condone what happened at Woolwich many years ago with this army officer, and one of these guys are beheaded, you know, so that's definitely wrong and stuff. But initially it was, okay, a British citizen, this also happened. Then a week later, a black British citizen. As soon as they knew he had a connection with Nigeria, they said, okay, a Nigerian, you know, heritage. So that tag, and they had to put something about Islam in there as well. So that tag is more sort of, it's more targeted. It's more sort of, okay, it's more like a generalization of people, you know, of a certain type, of a certain, you know, ethnic minority, of a certain, you know, religion and stuff. So I think when it comes to failure, and as we know, good news don't sell, bad news sells, you know. So if they can portray a race in a certain way, you know, which is sort of, okay, it's like a numb at the moment, right? You know, they can portray that way. It's sort of like a safe way as well to say, okay, you know what, yeah, there's black people, they in gangs. I'm not just saying, you know, it could be the other way. It could be Asians. It could be, I mean, it's not, you know, so all I'm just saying is, you know, and then again, the way we carry ourselves too, maybe that would, you know, but again, you spoke about the media earlier on, you know, I know quite a lot of, you know, young black people doing very well in their businesses, entrepreneurs, and, you know, buying and selling stuff, you know, doing very well, but you don't see these guys portrayed. You know, you see the ones that they think, yeah, these are the easy targets. So I think, again, we're not helping ourselves as well, you know, so, you know, if we help ourselves in the way we carry ourselves, you know, help each other again, you know, so I think that could sort of help a great deal, you know. So from a failure point of view, it's easy. We're an easy target to say, yeah, there you go. Talking about football again, anyone can miss a penalty. Penalty is 50-50, you know. Ronaldo's missed penalties before, Messi has missed penalties before, you know. So it happens, you know, so it's an easy target, you know, so, and hopefully, you know.
I think because obviously we've had BLM last year, and, you know, it's kind of kicked everything up a notch, and this has happened, which has kind of kicked it up another notch. I think in a way, in my opinion, this happening has kind of furthered the conversation of people actually speaking up. And from the little I've seen on social media, even though I'm trying not to get into it because I get so irate about it, there's a lot of allyship as well with non-Black people saying stuff and condemning and actually saying, whereas before, 2 years ago, everyone just kind of like, you know, like, okay, we can't see this big fat elephant in the room, and let's just tiptoe around and go, you're right, and that's it, you know, that kind of thing. But now there's more of a conversation going on, which, so it's kind of like it's good and bad. Again, like I said, I'm trying not to get involved. Maybe I'm just here to ask questions. My next question is this just with everything we've all said about the media, about how they associate failure, with the race as soon as failure does happen, and how we don't feel like this is really home. Do we think this is justification for why a lot of ethnic minorities kind of tend to stick together and don't try to integrate as much? Do we think, I mean, I can argue the pros and cons for that, but what do we think? Esther, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I couldn't say that again. Can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
You know how
The
a lot of,
connection is quite bad.
that's okay, a lot of bad stuff is going on, all the negative stuff going on. So you find a lot of, especially Black people, kind of tend to stick to their own and they don't integrate too much.
Yeah.
They kind of just go to work and go home and don't do, you know, kind of like don't rock the boat too much. Do you think a lot of all these kind of negative things kind of make that worse? The fact, or is it a good thing that we keep to ourselves, or should we integrate more to kind of,
no,
you know,
I think it's wrong. I think we need to integrate. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's important to integrate. I think it's very, very important to integrate. I think the more we stay separate, how do people understand?
Exactly.
I think most of these things that happen is down to ignorance. It's down to not knowing certain things. I don't think everything's down to racism. I don't think everything has to be down to that is linked to racism. It's just not knowing a person's culture, not knowing a person's way of life or religion. The ignorance can often come across as racism, but it doesn't mean it's racism. I don't believe in just staying in your own community and being that community. It might work in certain aspects, of course, you know, it does. But I think you have, especially if you're living in this country, I always say to people, if you're living in this country, you have to, a lot of people don't like hearing this, you have to go with the flow. You have to integrate with the community you're living in. You have to mix with people. You know, you live in England, you're gonna have to live in a certain way. If you don't like it here, then you go to a place that you know you feel comfortable in. If you're living in the UK, you're living in England, what do you expect? You know, we can't just completely convert everything to a way that we feel comfortable. But this is at the end of the day, I'm a Nigerian woman. My roots are based in Nigeria. Even if I grew up here all my life. My name is, I've got a Nigerian name. My Nigerian name is, my surname is Nigerian. I look Nigerian, I am Nigerian. My blood is, I'm Nigerian, so I can't forget that. At the same time, I live in the UK, I have to integrate with people in England, I have to. Otherwise, how do they know about my culture? How do I know about their culture? I think the more we learn about each other, the better, you know, the more I think as a society we can grow. So I believe wholly that we have to integrate. I don't believe in separating and, you know, we do one this and no, I don't believe in that. I think it's wrong. I think we have to integrate. And that's why a lot of problems are occurring. People don't understand Islam because, you know, there's not enough information about it behind it. It's always seen as a terrorist religion, which is not because that's all the
media shows. It's just the bad stuff.
But if you live in a community whereby you live in a community with Muslims and you get to integrate with them, you think actually this is not a terrorist religion. Same way if you live with people who live with Catholic religion or the Jewish, or you know, you have to integrate and you have to learn. You have to be accepting and you have to understand everybody's different, and that's the only way we can move on as a community. I said to my kids as well, you have to mix, you have to understand people's lifestyles are all different from our lifestyle. Don't forget your roots, obviously. Roots are always going to be there, but you have to integrate and you have to mix. That's what I believe in.
I agree. Jude, what do you think?
I slightly disagree with some of the points that Esther has made with regards to the aspect that you have to integrate so the people know. I think there's too much information out there already. I think is the thinking that they know. That's why they actually associate failure and tend to associate those sort of negative thoughts to minority. Because when Marx was saying earlier about the negative things, why they attach it, the stereotypes they attach to, when they attach failure and they remember quickly that, oh, Jude is Nigerian, if I stole from Lido, stuff like that. Is the no, because if you look, if you've ever read the book, The Bell Curve, I've forgotten the name of the author now, an American. It was one of the most controversial books. It's still very controversial to the extent that an MP actually took picture of his study and the book was behind him and they just rained abuses on him, because I have the book there on my shelf. It talks about, it called people the underachievers, the underclass. And in that book, he spoke about so-called research he did where Black people have low IQ. So this is knowledge that these people know already. Whether you believe it or not, they do teach them somehow covertly in school about these things. The Black man as a 3/5 of a human, it's knowledge again that they coined. It's not true knowledge, not from any solid research, but that was the dominant voice at the time. So this is knowledge that they have. So that's why they remember that. It's only when it came to sports that they respect black people. And it's the fact, which is another stereotype. Because why? They said, oh, they like to run because they always run when we chase them.
Yeah.
They run like animals. They have extra energy. These are all stereotypes. So, but we, what Max said about we need to understand our own self is about these stereotypes. Because when it's positive, we quickly accept them. Especially when they talk about black boys that have big dicks. Black guys accept that. But it's stereotype. It's a big lie from the pit of hell. But we accept it. Then when they call us, when they call us, everybody's laughing.
Can I just apologize to our audience for the D word?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, audience. I thought they would put bleep there. So what I'm trying to say,
we're live.
Oh, I know. I thought our guys behind the scenes are very good. Anyway, so you see, there are positive stereotypes and negative stereotypes. So why integration is good, but don't forget that your integration in the first place is as a result of policies. Like if you work in the housing or social services, the first point of call when you're placing people, you want to place them next to where their kith and kin is, where the kind of food is, access to their religious institution, access to people like them. So it wasn't as a result of your own making in the first place, but sometimes it happens as if you actually picked where you wanted to stay. But now you're in the community. Do you reach out to others? Yes, do reach out. But should the onus be on you? I don't think so, because if the burden is placed on you to continue to reach out to people, you become exhausted.
But Jude, can I disagree with you though, Jude? I can disagree with you because I think why I get what you're saying, but I think sometimes you have to show people. You have to let people in to understand you.
No,
because there might be a stereotype there. But at the same time, if they get to know you, know your community, shouldn't that wash away in a way if they want to? I'm not saying everybody would do that, but
no, you're absolutely right.
Doesn't that make a difference?
I'm saying if me and you were getting together to meet each other, maybe at a bar or somewhere, it will be a two-way conversation, right? Yes. I'm throwing things, you're throwing things, so we're getting to know each other. So I'm saying if only you're trying to integrate, if the onus and the burden is on you as a minority to want to know about the majority of the dominant culture, it becomes exhausting in nature. It becomes burdensome. So it should be two-way relationship. It should be you doing your bit, they should be doing their bit. You see where I'm coming from. But it's because of their ignorance, like you said, that they believe they know too much already about you. This is what causes the barrier.
And I think also in my experience, I feel there's this thing about you've come to our country. So you have to do more of the work to get to know us. I think when I first came to this country, that's what it was like. It's a lot better now, but that's what I felt like then. So it was very much like, you're here, get to know us, they weren't trying too hard to get to know us. But I think things are different now because,
definitely 100%.
Much different now. Right. So if I just change the tangent a bit, should we speak out more to shield our kids from this sort of backlash? I think with the kids thing, I mean, I'm going to leave this to you guys to talk about. Like I said, I'm just here asking the question, so I'm not going to say anything. But I mean, there's lots of things you shield your kids from in general. Things are going to harm them, things are going to make them bad or whatever. But for something like this, how exactly do you go about it? I mean, I've got quite a young son, so first of all, he doesn't give a heck about football. So he doesn't know anything that's going on. But in general, if he was older, for people that, I mean, Max, I don't know if you've got kids or how old they are. How would you explain something like this to kids? How would you shield them from the backlash? I mean, this ties back to how you'd explain something like BLM or whatever else. But in this particular instance where the football was something that everybody was involved in, old, young, everybody, how would you shield the kids of, Black kids especially from this sort of backlash?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's quite unfortunate because kids are innocent, so they get on the playground. So I've got 3 boys, right?
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
My boys, well, the older one, or middle one, the youngest one's still a baby. So the first 2, the environment we live in, I don't know how many Black people I've seen around me, So I've seen a few. I'm like, what's up? Talking, but it's quite unfortunate because the way they play with themselves, my oldest son is very much into football. Like, he can play football the whole day, and the way that he plays football with his colleagues, his friends, his mates and everything, they hug each other, even on Saturday. And one of the granddads, he actually worked in Nigeria, and we're just talking about, how innocent this looks compared to what we see at football. And we had a very deep conversation, and it got to make me think about this. And I'm actually glad we're having this on the show, So I believe before you integrate, I'm all up for integration. You have to educate first. Without education, you integrate, you're in the shock of your life. From my age, I could, like what Esther was saying, she could sense, you would know, you could tell the way people, certain things you say, the way they're like, oh, really? How did you, I mean, I've been to Canterbury years ago, and I said, thank you, I asked her, and the lady said, oh, you speak English? I thought, oh my God, I know. This is Canterbury. Canterbury. This is about probably over 20 years ago. And I thought to myself, you having a laugh, and I said, she said, you speak English? I said,
you should have said no. I just know.
Sometimes, when people say certain things, you don't, I'm one of those people, when if you meet this, from where I'm from in Nigeria, we put something, I'll say it in English, if you have someone having a swim in a pool, and a madman comes and take the clothes and run away, and you jump out of the pool chasing that madman, what do you think is people going to think it's mad? Who do you think? I mean, so you don't go down to that level. So you just leave it and just let it go.
Yeah.
Back to the question, from my boys, for example, I'm all up for education outside the classroom, financial education, environmental education, regardless of how you see yourself. You're not white. You're never going to be white. I'm sorry. You could live here all your life. You're black. That's it. However, this is how you carry yourself. You don't let people. I believe people treat you the way you allow them to treat you.
Exactly.
If someone looks down on you, you need to prove a point. I mean, my boys are they're I know every parent will say their kids are the top of their class. And I can say the same. So I just make sure they do very well in anything they do, football, education. So they're like, oh, wow, look at this dude. He's really good, regardless of the color of their skin, and they're quite young for you to start having deep conversations with them, because the mind is a very dangerous place. You could have some conversation with a child and they just feel all sort of, animosity and hatred and stuff, which is necessary, right? So from my point of view, education is key. The way you deliver that education is key as well, because you just don't want to talk to them the way I would speak to my mate. You talk to them in a way they would understand. You do well at what you do, and so I think that's the best thing, and I'm all for, they should play together. Don't just see, oh, that's another black kid, let me just go play with that black kid. No, go play with any child, because they're good, so I think that's what I would say.
The beauty of children that I find from observing some of them is the innocence where they don't see color. And I was speaking to a lady on the weekend, a white lady, and she was just saying, most of racism comes from it being taught by somebody to a young person that then gets, I don't want to say brainwashed, but obviously grows up with that notion that it's okay. And the fact that Black people and other ethnic minorities are minority, if you're a Caucasian person and you're the majority, you're going to think what everybody's telling you about the minorities is correct. So it's kind of like a learned thing. It's a learned behavior. It's not something that you're just born racist. So I think with children, they're sponges and they're only going to feed off of what they see around them, what they hear around them, what is said around their kitchen table. And what always makes me laugh is like how a lot of people that they have some sort of racist traits. They don't realize that at some point, the things they say in the privacy of their own home around their kid dinner table, the kid's going to go out and say it eventually, thinking it's okay to do. And then, anyway, like I said, I'm just here to ask questions. So my next question, this one is for Esther. How can we protect the kids for the future, or how should we prepare them for it? Is how I'd like to rephrase that. How should we prepare them for? I mean, we're all raising Black kids, mixed race kids, Black kids. How do we prepare them for the future? Like, I mean, like I said, I've got a young son, so I haven't started that conversation yet. But those of you with older kids, what do you say to them? Like, football aside, like, racism, something that's always going to be there. How do you prepare them for that? And I'll go to Esther first.
The reality of it is, I've got two boys. They're both going to be 13 in January, so they're secondary school age. Can't protect them from anything, because the reality is,
how do you prepare them?
Prepare them.
Yeah.
Be honest with them. Tell them the truth. Tell them what you've gone through. Like I said to somebody, I met with some friends this weekend, and I was saying that for me, it's very important my boys see good Black role models around them.
Yeah.
Because what they see on TV, what they see, you know, music videos, it's not the reality. So I make sure my kids see their cousins who are doing well in education, schools, or whatever. I make sure my kids hang around or see their cousins, see their uncles, see their aunties, see people around them, Black people around them, that we can also be doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants, you know, bus drivers, teachers, whatever. I'm not saying that's to be those big jobs, but working, we are working and we're earning a good living, you know, we're living comfortably. When we're not thieves, we're not drug dealers, we're not, you know, whatever stereotype they want to give us, you know, all the footballers, we're really good at sports. No, we're good at everything you put your mind to. So for my boys, I'm very honest with my boys. I don't just, you know, say racism. No, my boys have got a mixture of friends. We live in a community here. I've never felt, the community I live in, the boys' school, their friends I live, I've never felt an inch of racism from anybody that I hang around with. Like all the incidents that happened over the last weekend, all my friends who are white or whatever, where they come from, it's been a big outcry of, like, everybody was angry, everybody was upset, Black and white, they were upset. What's going on? Why are we allowing this racism to exist? You know, so like you said, it is getting better. You know, not everybody's going to go keep quiet. Let's not talk about it. Some of us feel uncomfortable. Everybody's being honest and speaking up about it and saying things. So the boys have read the newspaper articles. They've seen it for themselves, the abuse online. These free footballers will get it. So you can't hide, you can't protect them in that sense that, you know, shield them from it, they can't see it. Because the reality is they're Black boys. They're going to walk on the street, they're going to be looked at in a certain way. They're Black boys. So they have to be prepared. And the way you can prepare them is by being honest and say, boys, unfortunately you're Black boys. What you have to do, you have to behave in a certain way. You can't do certain things that your white counterparts are going to be able to do because they're going to get away with it. You have to carry yourself in a certain way whereby you're not putting yourself into trouble. You know, so it's hard. They're gonna face it. It's inevitable. They're gonna face racism. They're gonna face injustice, but they just have to be prepared for it. And I don't know how. The only way you can prepare them for it is when they face it. You have to talk through it. And I don't know. It's it's day by day basically. But unfortunately, they're gonna experience it. They're Black boys.
Unfortunately,
nothing I can do about it.
Which is very sad that
it's very sad, but it's gonna happen. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Jude, what are your thoughts?
Tough question, you know. I see I was clapping when Esther was talking, because a lot of the things she mentioned was things we were trying to put together in our community. I started to write a little pamphlet type of book with regards to that, and I'm glad that she mentioned the bus drivers, not just the doctors amongst our community, because I titled that little pamphlet Role Models. That's very good for those of us who have families in the UK. Let them hang around those people and see those role models. Your role models ain't footballers, they ain't the basketballers, they ain't the musicians, they ain't the guy who's been drug dealing before and come out as the OG. I tell my boys and my daughter, the real OG is your mother and your father. It's the bus driver that look like you who's getting the bread back home. That's the real OG. But preparing your boys or protecting them, I don't think there's a manual for that, like Max was trying to explain earlier. My mom, a few words that she spoke to us while we were in Nigeria got us through Nigeria. Did she prepare me for this world that I'm in now? I don't think she even knew I'll live my life in England. So there's no actual preparation for that. They go out there, they spend more time with those people out there in the school. They come back home, and that's the short time to spend with you. What you can do, like Esther said, be very honest with them. Let them know it's not a competition with them, with anyone out there. But I don't want to burden them at the same time, say, go out there and do 2 times extra, blah, 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 because they'll look down on you. Do your best. Anything you put your hands to your mind to do it very good for yourself. You in no race with no one. not the people that
Yeah.
look like you, not the
Just
people that don't look
yourself.
like you. It's not a competition, it's for you. But I'm trying to even teach them more, get more skills. Don't just say, this is what I'm going to do. Get more skills, because the world we're going in is about these skills that you have. I'm struggling right now trying to do a different degree because I want to switch my profession very quick, ASAP. So I'm tired of social services. I am struggling. Where do I fit in? I'm still fighting that. It's because I didn't prepare myself for at a time like this. So that's what I tell them. But with this football thing that happened, like I said, they watched it religiously. So it kind of exposed themselves. So imagine a grown-up man. I was jumping here when the football was coming, when the penalty started, when it just happened that the 3 black boys lost it. The first thing that came out of my mouth was, they said, out of the abundance of your heart you speak. And I was like, oh my God, we're dead. 3 black boys. I said in my kids' present, why did I even think of that? It was just like, oh my God, we're dead. I actually put my hand on my head. That is so sad for me to have
exactly
done.
the same.
Exactly
I was like, oh,
so
no.
sad, but isn't that sad?
It's
That
sad.
our first thought that come to our
children.
head.
Yep. I said they're gonna get so much abuse.
Yes,
it's just
imagine. And I watched their faces and they were so downcast. And I started to tell them, my gosh, be careful in school tomorrow. Let me know everything. Anything, say anything to you, please let me know. Then we woke up and we started seeing all the abuse. I was like, oh my God. You know, how do you deal with these things? How do you prepare people? Well, I'll let them know. I'm not the type who will say to them, go, the world is your oyster, go conquer it. No. Just be you. I ain't pushing you. Be you. Do yourself. You know, competition or race with anyone. That's it. But there's no manual to these things. There's no manual at all.
Yeah. We're all just trying to survive. Max, what do you think? How are you preparing your boys for the future?
Yeah, so to be honest, I'll probably echo the same thing you just said. You know, you just don't know. You know, but the thing is, because of the age my boys are at the moment, it's one of those things where if you send something from a particular sort of neighbor, for example, or household or something, you know, to be honest, it doesn't even matter about the race. You know, it's just preparing them for good morals, you know. So regardless of the race, you know, so I know I know the whole topic here, you know, I'm aware of it, but I'm just trying to say, regardless of the race, you have to prepare them for what is going to come to them, you know, so it's not like a shocker, you know. So regardless of the race, if you see someone that you know is in some naughty, babies even know good or bad, you know, just avoid them and do something. Like you said, do you know where you're from, you know the household you're from, you know, again, no pressure, because again, when we put unnecessary pressure on these boys, they don't deliver, they don't live up to their expectations. They start comparing themselves to other people and looking at their color, looking at their hair, looking at their eyes, looking at their lips and saying, oh, okay, is it because of this, is it because of that? Nah, you know, just you know, same as what just said, I think that should be the answer. Do you know, it's the best you can ever be. Look at the mirror. Who you seen in the mirror? You know, if you've seen a cat, then so be it. If you've seen a lion, then you can roar like a lion and just be you.
Okay, that's a very valid response, and I think it's echoed through through all 3 of you. So that's quite good. Using and this question is specific to Jude, using the football incidents as the example, do you think the minority community provide enough protection to the younger generation to prevent a future occurrence?
I don't think they do provide that protection. I don't think there's ever been protection for us in the UK. Again, it's because of our experience.
The question is, do us, the ethnic minority community, do we give enough protection, or are we offering enough protection to the younger ones to protect them for future occurrence?
No, we do not. That's what I'm saying. There's never been, even from the ethnic minority, for guys before who suffered racism, there's never been that protection. And again, it's just our sort of experience in the UK. America is different. America's story is different. So the blacks, they kind of have the different groups. We have fringe groups here, don't get me wrong. Some of the groups here actually inspired the ones in America. But there's not been that protection from our group, minority group as per se. Because one thing again, I don't want to say they, like I'm pointing to the outsiders. One thing that's worked well to put us apart is the term BAME, the Black and Ethnic Minority Elders and all. We were all placed into a same bucket when our experiences are different. So we don't know where we're pulling or what we're pulling at or what's pulling us away. So I think for us to be able to, like what happened on that day using that football experience. If I was, or G, you were a leader of a group, I would have expected G to come out and say, you know what, as of today, Sancho, Rashford, and Saka are no longer going to represent or wear the so-called England thingy any longer until something is done. But that was not there. These boys are young boys, or the girls too who are being racially abused in the women national team. They're young people. They're still growing. Their brains and their minds are still forming with the different things they see. Albeit that they're so rich, you know, I expected that to come up. But when they don't see that voice, they don't hear that voice coming from our group as a people, they will not be able to do it. I think there's need for that voice in this community. Those people who will come out. I don't really think BLM should be that group. No, they're different altogether story. They're not there at all. I just think there's one for civil discussion to be out there to say, Sancho,
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Do we not have
what would that
like
achieve
that?
though? What would that achieve by saying that? What would that achieve by saying
don't wear the jersey?
Yeah, what would that achieve?
Okay, in my opinion, it's just my school of thought. Because one thing I know is when you hit the pay check, when you hit the money trail, people then buckle. Like what happened in Germany just yesterday or 2 days ago. A black player, they're preparing for their Olympics. He was racially abused. The whole players, they collapsed the game. This is what I love. Collapsed that game. Yeah. It happened to, I said it when it first happened to, I think it was Rashford or Sterling. I can't remember, Max or any of you who watch the football, help me here. One of our players were racially abused. They wanted to end the game. Southgate, Southgate, the manager now, and some other white players pleaded with them to not end that game. That was so wrong. But these boys felt alone because there's no voice out there. Rio Ferdinand is not a voice. Barnes is not a voice. Wright is not a voice. They're just following their paycheck. So if they had collapsed that game at the time, I'm telling you, FA would be so hard on these guys because they know this racists out there. They know this one's causing trouble. So they would have been hard. Exactly. They would have been hard on the media too. The media will know how to portray the story. But if we don't hit that pay packet, if Rashford say, you know what? This game is done. I'm not playing. You just called me the M word or the N word. Trust me, actions will follow. But this is just my opinion. So it might not be what they should do, but it's just the way I see it. I think if you hit them financially, people will start. That's FA. If you hit the FA and the UEFA, you know the disruption you will cause is millions of dollars or pounds.
Yeah, because I think that's what happened in America with the whole taking the knee. I think the basketball people, NBA or whatever, they went on strike or something. So that made them really, talk about. So I do agree. And it's what you said actually got me thinking that I don't know if this country has any sort of, is it association or something for like, how when certain things happen, let's say when a lot of things were happening to Muslims or terrorists or whatever, they had a representative that talked to the press. When something happens to the Jewish communities, they had one. I don't think I've ever seen one from the Black community.
We're not united, Gene. We're not united.
I know there's the whole BAME, B-A-M-E. I hate that term.
No,
I don't.
We're not united.
I think it's even wider than an umbrella term, that one. So I actually don't use it. I can't stand it. When someone's trying to label me as that, I've just glared at them like, who are you talking to? I'm Black. So it's a good conversation topic to like, why can't we have one that's just okay?
But do you think as a Black community, are we united as a Black community? Do you think we are?
Not yet, but I think also all these things are happening is forging conversations towards that.
Yeah, I agree with you there, G.
I think that's what's happening because it's like, we all have to come together. And within that whatever society, whatever you want to call it, that group of people who also have a lot of allies in there. Because without the allies, and I'm talking about Caucasians, there won't be a lot of traction.
Yeah.
So, but again, I digress. I'm here to ask questions. So, do you think this event will stop the younger generation from associating with this country, like not calling themselves British, or do you think it's gonna like how you were saying about how your kids can, if they decide to go into sport, they can choose to pick Nigeria, they can choose to pick your wife's nationality, or they can choose to pick British. Do we think this is a big enough incident to affect the kids associating with this country in different aspects? And I'll ask Max.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, let me ask Max first.
Yeah, sure. So I don't think, I mean, for my son, if he said, because he's Obviously, he's an Arsenal fan because I'm an Arsenal fan. He's probably a big Arsenal fan than myself. Yeah, thanks. I've seen their hand. It's okay. I love you regardless, you know. But the thing is, if my son was to say, Dad, you know, I'm sorry, I would have to play for, you know, England or my wife's um origin or Nigeria. It doesn't matter to me, you know. I wouldn't tell him, I wouldn't sway him into one direction, you know. I mean, this Saka incident, I remember quite a few of my friends saying, oh, you know, if this guy did play for Nigeria, for example, it's never going to be a problem, you know. Or look at Iwobi. Iwobi has never had a problem, you know, in Nigeria. Fair enough, but has he had a problem in Everton? Maybe. Has he had a problem in Arsenal? Maybe. Would he have that problem walking on the street? Maybe. So, I mean, Jude was saying something about, you know, take the shirts and they shouldn't play or stuff like that. Jude, in all honesty, that will be a short-term fix. That is never going to be a long-term
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
Stuff takes generations. Look at the Jewish people. Look at how they stick together. You know,
Yes.
when it comes out of a Jewish community,
Yes.
do you know how many hands it goes past? It goes past a
Yes.
minimum of 20 hands. You know, I have lots of friends that have companies in Hatton Garden doing jewelries and stuff. If you go there to do jewelries, the guy that'll make the band, the guy that'll put a stone, they're all, oh, don't worry, go meet my brother here. Go meet my brother here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The community.
Yeah.
Together.
So when you talk about association, it's a whole massive generational stuff you're talking about here. It's not something I see that's going to get fixed in, maybe not in my generation, maybe my kids' generation, maybe, you know. But this thing we're saying, it happened to bands, it happened to Ian Wright, it happened to all the different sort of areas of football, and it's not going to stop. So to be honest with you, it's almost like, okay, let's just get on. You know, to be honest, there's not a lot you can do. You know, it's not a one-man's battle. You know, it's firstly we need to fix ourselves. Like I said earlier on at the beginning, if we carry ourselves in a certain way, you know, people treat you that way, and you're happy with that. You're not confident. You're sort of hiding under your stuff. You know, hey, okay, that's how they're always going to treat you. You know, so for me, if my son wants to play for England, dude, what jersey number do you want? Number 7? Okay, cool, man. Let's rock and roll. Not a problem at all. You know, so for me, that's my own personal. You know, Jude may probably, or Esther will probably disagree with that.
Have we got any differing comments from?
No, I agree absolutely, because of course it will make them start to think, which is a good stuff, like Jay's mentioned, Esther's mentioned, Marty's mentioned. It starts the conversation. So they are aware now, because this was really stark. I don't know why they decided to watch this tournament. Maybe because it's all the COVID, everybody's at home. You know, they wanted us to actually get a ticket. I said, no, man, that would be my year's salary to get a ticket. So it started them talking. So they're not aware. Oh my gosh, I actually was looking up to these boys because I want to play like them, I want to ball like them. Oh my gosh, what's happening? So it's great that conversation started for them. But will it stop them representing this country? No way. These children are very individualistic. They forget we're in a nation where it's about the individual as opposed to the community. It's what the individual does. So a point will come, my son will tell me, Papa, I want to represent this country. And I might ask him for the merits, and he'll tell me, selection-wise, it's easier. I grew up here. I really haven't been to Nigeria that much with you. So he put all his case in front of me, but I don't think I will stand in his way. But it started a conversation for them, which I'm very happy.
Yeah, the funniest thing is this is actually going to encourage these boys, because I remember what happened. My 6-year-old said to my mom, my wife. My 6-year-old said to my wife.
She is your mom.
Yeah, so that's what they said.
No, G.
Damn.
Oh, Esther, don't agree with that. Okay,
no.
Thank you. I like that.
Mom, no way.
So that's what they keep telling us.
Wife, not mom, G. No.
Thank you.
Sorry, Max. Carry on.
Well, if you had said I'm the daddy, then that's that. I still
We'll
talk about that another time. So anyway, we digress. So my point really is, you know, the next day, you know, my son said to my wife, you know, oh, it's only 6. I heard Rashford, you know, wrote a book. Can I have a copy? So we ordered a copy. He started reading it, and we noticed, you know, he put, you know how you put a book stuff, like a bookmark to say I've read it up to here, and he's read like 2-3 pages. It's only 6. He loves it, and it's actually encouraged him. He was like, oh, wow, Rashford.
Exactly.
So whilst the media are portraying things in a funny way, we could actually look at this in a different way.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about, wow, the next day Rashford has gotten up and is feeding how many million people?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Supplying
Yeah.
and doing stuff,
Mhm.
and the wall where it's like a wall art of Rashford, he's got so much stuff. So he actually had more attention to him as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I believe it's going
Yeah.
to encourage these young boys, and I think it should not discourage them. It should encourage them to say, you know what? I will prove you guys wrong. And again, it's not everyone that's doing this. It's just a selected few
Yeah.
bad
Small minority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
it. Just a
Yeah.
few people doing
Yeah.
it. And like Esther was saying, her Caucasian friends were like condemning it. Same here. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like, oh wow, I've never received so much messages like this in my life. Or
Yeah.
and I was calling. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually cool. So I think it's gonna encourage them, and I hope it does.
Yeah.
And they should
Yeah.
just again do you.
Yeah, I think this is actually a good segue to one of the questions I had, which was about how should we be educating our kids on this topic? And I think what you said there, Max, about how there's all this stuff going on in the media, but you've kind of flipped it on its head by ordering this
Positives.
book for him to see what he's actually doing. So I think in a way, education, I think one of you mentioned it earlier on, is key in
Yeah,
terms of schooling our kids on, yes, do you and everything, but also kind of research your idols or these people you see that the
yeah,
public is talking about, because I always feel like you have to be great or they see something great in you, whether it's actual or potential, for them to have to badmouth you in the
Yeah.
press. So it's up to us, and maybe as a duty to our kids as well, to kind of do our own research to find out the truth, because the media is going to say what they want to say
Of course.
to sell papers and magazines
Yeah.
and what they call it, clickbait and all that webby
Yeah.
stuff. So I think in terms of educating the kids, my take on it is, yes, they go to school and they learn stuff, but for Black kids, I think we as parents have a lot more to do on our own in our homes with our kids in terms of educating them about key Blackness things that they need to
Yeah.
know about that they're never going to learn in school. Do you agree with that? What do you think,
Yeah.
Esther?
100%. I think it's up to us as parents. We're the role models, dad's role models, mum's role models, aunties, uncles, like I say, community. I think the key word we just need a community, we need a strong community.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes we don't have that. We're talking about the Jewish community, the Asian community, they're so connected, they help each other out. I think our Black community was so busy. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying all of us. But I think we need a strong community, and that's what's key. We don't have that strong community. We talk about it a lot. We're all up in arms when there's racism, but we're not. Are we together as one? We're not together. Like you said, who's the person speaking for all of us? Who's coming out and saying, like what Jude said? This is what we're going to do as a community. Nobody's there. We've got all these celebrities talking here and there. But again, are they really speaking on our behalf? No, we're so divided in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Growing up in this country, when I grew up in South London, racism I faced wasn't necessarily from the whites, it's from Caribbeans, Jamaicans. They used to call me African boo-boos and all sorts of stuff when I was growing up. That wasn't a white person calling me that. So again, as a community, are we together?
yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah,
I think again, it starts with us, really. It starts with
absolutely.
us. Then we can then
Absolutely.
say outside, come in. But until we sort ourselves out as a community, we've got a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do.
I
But
agree.
we're getting there. I think I've been so surprised by the past week, the amount of support. And I think the media didn't win this time.
No,
As people,
Yeah.
we won. We stamped it out completely. There was no, press was actually positive because there were so many things. Saka got so much praise. Rashford got so much praise. It was lovely to read the positive stuff. So the small minority people who were racist, they didn't succeed this time.
Yeah.
So that's one positive thing you can take out of it. And we can only hope and move forward that it gets better with time. It's going to take a long time, but
yeah, we'll pray it doesn't take too long. It doesn't take too long. But
it starts with us, though. It starts with us as a community.
Yes, we have to come together as a community. Absolutely. Right. My last question is, and I know this is very sad, but why do we have the tendency, or some of us have the tendency, to keep quiet when these kind of things happen and not want to take a stand for fear of repercussions at their job, or maybe they feel like they're in the kind of occupation or job that means they can't say anything, they don't want to rock the boat. And, you know, I mean, what do we think about, I'll go to Jude first.
Yeah, I think it's one, the job, the pay packet, bread. The, it will affect everything. It will change your life. I, for one, don't like cancel culture, whether it's on the opposite side or on my side. I don't really like cancel culture because what it does is it just escalates into bigger problems. Like one of the guys they quickly identified who started using N-word. He works for some Savile company in Manchester. That guy was going to lose his job. And somebody rightly pointed out, is there a way we can deal with this guy personally? Because he's going to lose his job. It's going to affect his mortgage. He'll lose his house. He'll lose his wife, lose the children. Do we want that? No. Do I want that for myself? No. That's why most of us don't want to talk. Most people too would get up and speak for these things. They've done so. Look at Diane Abbott. Anytime she comes out, they ridicule what she's wearing. The press. This woman was having a mojito or wherever on the tube. They destroyed her name. Michael Gove came out and said, yes, I used cocaine 3 times or crack. Yay, boys will be boys.
Yeah.
So Diane Abbott has been in the forefront. Don Butler is there. Our brother David Lammy has been there. They've put these boys down. Even when Rio Ferdinand was fighting his own battle, Ashley Cole took sides with John Terry. Somebody called him coconut. Rio Ferdinand laughed under the tweets, and he was being beaten by a stick. So you see why people want to say, you know what? This is Rashford's problem. He's a millionaire. Let him deal with his own issue. And rightly so, as to make sure that the media didn't win this battle. And it was because these boys spoke up. They broke ranks with the FA and the National Congress spoke up. Look at what Tyrone Meeks said. He gave it back to the home secretary.
Patel,
he gave it back to Peter Patel. That just went like political earthquake everywhere in UK. Even Boris could not even retaliate. So Rashford came out and said, I am me. I am proud. I am this. You don't touch me. You don't this. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I'll keep shining. Saka got support, Saka said. Because they broke ranks. That's why. So sometimes we need to break ranks as well. Of course, things will be affected. Pay packet will be affected. So you're rightly, now your question is sad in a way, because I don't want to go to work tomorrow and say, Jude, this is what you said on that show. You know what? We're looking into it. HR is looking into it. That will be suspension. And I'll have that fear about me, like, oh my God, they might sack me. And then my wife starts thinking, look at what you put us, your big mouth. All of that is there. It's a long conversation. But there are people in the community who are able to say this and they just get carried away. So my solution to that is our people should get more involved in politics and get involved in the conservative politics.
Make it normal to
make it normal. That's the word. Yes.
Get involved in politics big time.
About it.
Because this is where the decisions are being made. I know because I roll with these guys. I work with them on a daily. I see the power that they wield from your local places. Get involved in labor politics, in conservative, in Leave Them. Get elected for local councillors. Start changing the ideas there. That's when we'll have the power to speak. Otherwise, like I say, man, one person come out to speak, they quickly put you down. Either by the way you look, by the way you speak. Most of us from the African background, we used to fear because of our accent. Like, oh my gosh, these guys won't understand the word we say. Like Esther rightly pointed out, even our own people will be the one laughing at us. So you see, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And I'm even muzzled right now because I don't want to say a lot because of my pay packet. So
shush. Esther, what do you say? What are you saying about the people that just try and blend in and not say anything?
I think our parent generation, that was their stance. They were very quiet. But this generation, I'm sorry, they're not keeping quiet. Yes, that's very true. They are not keeping quiet, and I like it.
It's really a generational thing.
They're standing up their ground, and they're doing it very nicely. Not doing it in a nasty way. They're not being
attacked. Do you know why? Because they're educated.
Nice. Thank you.
They're doing it in a very educated manner.
I'm all for it. I'm absolutely for it. Our parent generation, they were scared. They were, it's how they were, how they came to the country. They were scared
to get deported. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people didn't have paper. Those are scenarios.
Papers.
Now people are like,
I don't get paper.
Exactly. But people are like, you know what? I grew up in this country. This is my country too.
Yeah.
I might be black, but this is my
British.
Country. And I'm British and whatever, or I'm Nigerian, whatever you say, but my boy said I'm a Nigerian boy, whatever. But they will speak their mind, So I think each generation is a different generation. They're not taking any nonsense from nobody.
No,
and they know their rights, and they're saying, and I'm all for it. Go for it.
That's one of the first things I told my brothers when they came to this country. Know your rights.
Know your rights.
Learn them off by heart. Put them on your phone. Anybody stops you for anything, know exactly what you need to say or do.
Just do it respectfully. Don't do the stereotypical aggression and they say, well, it was aggressive. Say it in a way that's respectful and you know you're good. But the this generation, I'm loving it. It's all I'm happy for it. You know.
Oh, that's good. And Max, your thoughts? Final thoughts?
Yeah, sure. So I think, yeah, speaking up, I'm all up for speaking up. So again, it's quite sad, like Jude said, pay package and all your stuff, and you know, which is okay, fair enough. It is what it is. But again, if you don't know where you're from, you don't know your origin, you don't know your roots. I think that's the most important part of it. Where you're from, you're not educated enough to even know, you know, things about what happened years ago to Black people, then you could easily just get carried away and not say anything and just be like, yeah, whatever. That's Rashford's problem. But Rashford's problem is all of us' problem, because it affects us one way or the other. You know, and again, from a you know, putting your points across, you don't have to sound violent to get your point across. You know, you don't have to, you know, to you know,
you don't have to rise up to the stereotypical aggressive thing that they want.
Exactly. And again, action speaks louder than words, right? So if you're just like, yeah, whatever, this is, you know, I can just be a waste man or whatever, you know, then you probably don't have a voice at that point, right? But if you're actually doing something, you're contributing to the economy, you know, then you have a voice, you can speak, you can say something.
You're voting, you're paying taxes.
Yes, doing the right thing, you're not committing any crime.
Yeah.
No crime, nothing. So nothing, you know, so you should be able to speak your mind. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our viewers and all of those that made lots of comments in the chat. The chat was kicking off. There's so many comments, I can't get through all of them, but there's just one in particular that I wanted to point out. One of our viewers said she once went on a lunch break to buy a pair of shoes. She came back to work, showed her colleagues, and one of them was surprised that people wore shoes in Africa.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's just, I mean, this is all that works here in an office. Went on
my gosh.
to buy
I don't even know what to
shoes.
respond to that.
Yes, so
what do you say to that? So
I just thought I'd leave that nugget on this platform.
Thanks, G.
You're welcome. So thank you to all our viewers again. Thanks for joining. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Dee will be back next week to do this because this ain't natural for me. But
you've done well, G. You've done really well.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to contribute and not flip my wig or something and stay calm and everything. So wish you all a nice Sunday. And until next time, this is us. We have arrived. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.